Hello, and welcome to Apropos, a conversation between Clojure programmers that you can join in live on YouTube. We're going to discuss a few Clojure news items and share our opinions on them. Then we'll jump into a REPL and code some exercises or do some demos if you're joining us live. Feel free to comment in the chat and we'll try to address the questions. So I'm going to introduce our panel. We have Mia.
Hi.
Mike.
I see you're going in order of beard length. Sorry.
And next, then I'm Eric. And we have Ray.
I believe you mean a special guest, Zizek.
The Clojure dialectic. Strong with these.
Nice. So we have a nice topic for today. Just a reminder, now that we are organized, we have show notes. So look in the YouTube description box and there will be a nice link that you can click. Promise you can click it and it will bring you to our show notes. And we will be adding stuff to this if new stuff comes up. But right now it's got what we plan on talking about, which I think is pretty good, pretty organized. So our main topic today is about Oracle's licensing and the JDK build gate. What do we choose now? Especially, so just a little background. JDK 11 is out now, and it is the one that has a new licensing scheme, which is basically Oracle has made the JDK. It releases a JDK that is commercially licensed for production, so you have to pay them to use the JDK in production. So that created a whole bunch of
consternation.
Consternation. Like, what do we do? Where do we get our JDKs from? Because we don't want to pay Oracle. We've been using this thing for free. It's been free for like 20 years, and we don't want that kind of relationship with Oracle. So now you have to choose a different JDK from the main Oracle build. What complicates it is they have been building OpenJDK, and they still do, except now it has a 6-month release. There's a release cycle. So JDK's version number will get bumped every 6 months, and they are only going to be providing the OpenJDK build for those 6 months. So JDK 11 is only going to be available for 6 months. You won't even be able to download it after 11 is over.
I think mostly as well, they won't give bug fix as well.
There's no bug fixes
long-term support concept.
Right. There's no long-term support. And so that means something like if you start on OpenJDK 11 right now in your company, and in 6 months you hire a new person, they cannot install OpenJDK 11 unless you save the install files. And there's no bug fixes or anything after that. So you have to move to JDK 12 on their schedule. There's not even 1 day of overlap so that you can, realize today's the day. You have to plan and act fast. So that brings up all these alternative JDK builds. OpenJDK is GPL'd. So it's all open source code. It's just what is the licensing around the build and the support.
So if you wanted to pay for it, how much money are we talking about? Or does anyone care or no? Yeah.
Enterprise
No one's even gone down that path. Yeah. So most people are whatever. They don't even go down that path. Yeah.
Steak dinner with an Oracle sales rep, kind of level. That's what we're all imagining. Millions, depending on the size of your company. They probably won't even talk to you if you're too small. Stuff like that. So most people are choosing one of the sort of community built ones, so not Oracle's built. And it's complicated because it's open source, so anyone can build it, right? There is it's called a JCK.
Mhm.
No, the TCK.
Oh yeah.
It's a compatibility kit that Oracle has not open sourced, so it is a closed source test suite for a particular build, and that is what is supposed to ensure compatibility between builds. And so that kind of complicates it. It means that if you do pass TCK, that you are
And you're allowed to call it Java.
minimally compatible with Oracle's build. But then, of course, it means you have to be allowed to by Oracle. So there's a little bit of consternation there as well. It's not open source. Does anyone else want to go? Because I've just been researching this, so it's all like fresh in my head. So I could just keep going.
I mean, if I was, if we're, it's a conspiracy game to some extent, but a lot of people left Sun when Oracle took over, and people have been saying that Oracle will screw the Java community in the end. They've been saying it for a very, very, very long time, and it seems like they're like the shoe is dropping. It's taken 10 years or whatever, but it's happening. That they're starting to put the squeeze. I guess the question more is, you've got this like practical aspect of like, what do you do for your JVMs? And that's a boring problem to have, that's for sure, and people will solve for that. The question moreover is like, if you're looking at this thing now and you're thinking, well, what does it mean for the future of like JVM in general? That's a bigger question, which is worrying, I think. To me, that's a bit worrying. I think the whole like what you do to get a JVM is a bit boring, and it's just a data center operational issue. But strategically, I think it's quite concerning.
Like you just don't trust them, right?
Yeah, you just also you start to worry about, well, will people always keep the same SDK, like you say with the tests, Eric? Or people will, there was a thing in the early days of the JDK where people made their own JDKs, and famously Microsoft, kind of wanted to make their own JDK and add some features to it. And then in the end, Sun sued them and said, no, you can't have that. So they ended up going with C#, which was a kind of like clean room implementation of Java with a few extra features. But, okay, it is what it is. But if I was starting now, I was looking at this again, I would be fearful of that kind of, that kind of thing coming up again, where people fork it and, they add features we were talking in the Slack about this, about the fact that Microsoft are using this one from Azul, for example, and Azul do all kinds of funky things with their JVM to reduce the garbage collection, which is, I think as far as I know, it all passes all the compatibility kits.
Just specializing it for certain tasks.
Yeah. And if people do that kind of thing, I'm all for it. If people, that kind of innovation is super. I think that's where you keep all the interfaces, but you make certain aspects of the operational environment more performant or less memory intensive or whatever. Those are really great innovations. And if you have to pay a bit of money for it, then that could be a big difference for your business. If you're heavily using these resources,
Yeah, I mean this goes to a really fundamental question, because I think it would be really useful, very advantageous to have sort of a community developed virtual machine that was agnostic, I guess, that was sort of like, it would be like the JVM except community developed from the get-go, with the idea of like, people are now going to develop languages that run on this. The other side of it is that I think that kind of thing can't support itself in the long term without a big company behind it.
Yeah, that's
And
like who's the community?
exactly,
Well, do you-
exactly.
Think about like JavaScript engines. Is there something fundamentally different about Java legally that explains the difference between those two things? Yeah. Like there's no TCK for JavaScript, right? Yeah.
There's copyright and
There is
trademark
actually there is a standard, isn't there? This
ECMAScript or whatever.
the ECMAScript standard. You have to. I don't know if it's called that. If I've got a kit or whatever, but there are certain tests you have to pass. There are certain features you have to implement. There is a compatibility like some type, yeah.
But you would agree there's a big difference, right? There's a plethora of JavaScript engines to choose from, and you're not worried about any one thing controlling it. And
right, but there are still big companies behind them.
Yes.
And the other thing is I think it's more of like a legal issue. Like you look at something like the Dalvik VM, which is what Google re-implemented Java basically for Android, and
it's all a bunch
they
of
were sued by Oracle. They were sued by Oracle, and it's not that they won, but it took millions of dollars to win.
Yeah.
So it's it's that kind of game you're playing. Is it legal? Well, it doesn't matter if you can't afford the legal fees. So that's why I think like it would be good to just start over. Something similar to LLVM, and then some company would say, "Oh, this is actually really valuable," and then they sort of take it over, like Apple did with LLVM.
And I'm trying to remember, like back in the old days of C++ and C, you had a lot of variety there. You just had like standards and then people implementing it. And then you have other things like Perl or Clojure where you really have one implementation that everyone uses just because of reasons, right? But this Java thing is different, where it's like litigiousness, right? And people wanting money.
Well, and also like, there's no Perl VM. Like there's, the JVM is a whole separate animal. There's so many different things that use the JVM, and like really like big enterprise stuff uses it, but also like small companies that intend to scale use it. Like it's
right. It's so is the question like, is it that we don't like Oracle? Like we would trust, there would be other companies
Maybe,
we would trust with the JVM, and we wouldn't be having this kind of discussion, but because it's Oracle, we don't really like them.
I don't know. I mean, I think big corporations are difficult to trust. I mean, like Mike was saying earlier on, that people don't worry about JavaScript, but actually I think they do. I think people do worry about Google owning JavaScript and the web too much. I'm nervous about that. I think I don't care. I think technologically they're probably quite capable, but I think they don't want money, but they want your data. And I think the more that companies want something. Oracle want money. That's pretty clear. Google want data, and then money.
And like, what the heck does Facebook want? And they own React.
Facebook, yeah.
I think about this all the time. Like everything uses React. It's great.
Yeah. Right. There was that weird legal thing with React for a while, right?
Yeah.
And then it went away. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was just because of community outrage,
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Alice in the chat here, Alej, I don't know how to pronounce the thing with the thing over the S, says JavaScript is an Oracle trademark.
It could
be. It is. The Java part. Like Sun made a deal back in the day when JavaScript came out. Yeah. They were going to call it like browser script or something like that, and they made a deal. They said put some curly braces in there and make it look more like Java, and you can call it JavaScript.
Wait, so it's not true. The Java is to JavaScript as car is to carpet thing isn't actually true, because
it's more complex than that. Yeah. It was going to be like a scheme, and they changed the syntax to make it look more Java-esque.
They ruined it on purpose. And we can't trust Oracle.
Well, that was Sun that did that. So.
Can't trust. them either
But
in the
that's why it's
past.
called ECMAScript in the standards, because they can't call it JavaScript.
Yeah.
So,
And I thought it was
I don't know if
because ECMA is the name of the standards body, the European standards body for.
sure, yeah, but they needed a new name, so that's what they called
Oh,
it.
okay, okay.
They
yeah.
needed the name because they couldn't use the JavaScript name.
Right, okay.
So as an aside, I don't even use the latest anymore. You can't use the latest if you're doing Clojure. Well, you can, if you don't mind.
The latest JDK?
Yeah, like even the latest of 8 has that slowdown in it. There's like a performance regression.
I haven't noticed.
So
I haven't noticed it.
well, it depends on if you have a lot of stuff in your user CLJ file. So there's some weird technical thing going on there.
Okay.
So like if you're doing React Native development and you start up your REPL there, it used to take about 10 seconds or so processing whatever's in user CLJ, and then it jumped up to like 40 seconds with the latest 201 build of Java 8. So I just
this is the regression that Alex Miller's working on?
yes,
now?
it's the very same thing. Yeah.
This is the one, the potential 1.10.1.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, right. They can sort that out.
An actual bug fix. Well, it's interesting whether you call it a bug fix or not to Clojure, given the fact that it's a JDK problem. But a mid-term release, it would be quite shocking.
I think the root thing was like some sort of security hole, right? They had to close. It's not just a performance regression on purpose. They had to do something. Yeah.
But is he narrowing in on it? He knows what it is and like having some kind of possible solutions. I haven't been keeping up.
I don't know.
I think he found someone in Oracle who knows what it is. You'd probably say that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna add this stuff to the show notes because he has been blogging about it.
Sorry, go ahead, Mia.
Oh, no, you go.
I was going to just say I don't even use the latest JDKs because of that. I'm stuck on like an old Java 8, and that's fine for me. I mean, Clojure is Clojure, right? It works.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because normally you take the latest bits for performance benefits, not for the opposite.
Never upgrade. Never upgrade.
Never upgrade. Okay.
It's always slower. Somehow.
I try to upgrade all the time. Actually, I try to upgrade because you get less bugs, you get faster things normally.
Wait, do you upgrade your operating system?
Yeah, with the betas. And,
what?
No.
Oh, yeah.
No. Homebrew breaks every time.
Yeah, but who cares? Yeah, I don't do that much with it. Yeah, no, I do a lot of stuff with the Mac. The Mac is the Mac is pretty good actually. Like I've been running like the latest version of the operating system for I don't know day one after it beated. So it would be fine.
I'm afraid to upgrade. I'm probably on 2 versions back because the last time I upgraded it just had so many problems. And I always wait, and then they've been upgrading it so fast now that I skip one somehow. And now I don't know if this has anything to do with not upgrading, but my computer won't shut down cleanly anymore. I have to hard shut it down. So I'm this close to wiping it clean and reinstalling, and I'll probably install the new one.
Yeah, I mean you've got to do it eventually. So everyone's got a different appetite for these things.
Yeah.
Speaking of operating systems, Clojure on Windows.
Oh yes.
Whoa.
Apparently it's a thing. who uses Windows these days? Come on.
If you're of that persuasion,
it would be. Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize it wouldn't. Again, it's just the CLI thing, isn't it? Because obviously Clojure itself runs on Windows, no problem. Just
CLI. So it was
just in
released.
case I missed that, I guess actually since 1.5 it hasn't ran on Windows. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's there's a build.
Uh-oh.
Goodbye,
We
man.
lost.
Oh, wait, what?
I think she was going to say that it hasn't been released yet, but there is like progress has been made, and there's now a build, and you can try it now.
Right.
That would be good. I mean, if you look at the ClojureScript website, the main one, the instructions on getting started, has different branches based on whether or not you're using Windows or Linux or Mac, all because of the lack of availability of it for Windows. It'd be nice if that is ultimately released.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people who are working on it and want to ask questions about it can go into the CLJ on Windows room in Clojure and Slack and talk about it.
Oh.
I wonder what I'm guessing the proportion of Windows users must be absolutely huge, you know?
That's a really interesting thing. So like I sent my fiance to an Android boot camp, and they told them to use Windows because most of them already had it, and it's for people who are not developers. If you're not a developer, you are probably not using a Mac because they're expensive.
Sure.
And IntelliJ works great on everything, so he hasn't had an issue. But if I'm like, oh, you should try Clojure, like he hasn't been able to.
Yeah. I can tell you from...
You can do it through the community edition. You can get Clojure still.
Oh yeah, but like the whole like shell integration doesn't.
Oh yeah,
work.
yeah. That's a bummer. Yeah. You want the latest and greatest things.
Yeah.
When we ran a Clojure workshop, the Windows machines took hours to install everything you needed. The Mac stuff was like minutes.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Wasn't there a thing? I mean, again, I've kind of lost touch a bit with Windows over the past few years, but didn't they do a thing where they wanted to port Bash to Windows, so that in theory would make it super simple just to run Bash scripts?
There is like the Windows subsystem for Linux, the WSL. Right. Yeah, that's fine.
So, yeah, I would have thought that would be a good target for these kind of CLI type things, rather than a PowerShell, which is, different, let's say.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Right. Yeah.
One problem we have with ClojureScript is whenever, like, there are people who use ClojureScript who use Windows, and none of the main ClojureScript developers use Windows, really. So, like, whenever something breaks, like, ClojureScript has its tentacles down in the operating system, doing file I/O, and the CLI is kind of the same, right? And it's just, you run into those differences, and it makes it difficult to.
You don't run it all the time, even if you test it a couple times in a VM or something.
Yeah. And the typical thing is like getting the / and / wrong,
Right.
That kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, they have all of these like file separators and volume things. They're all like system properties, aren't they? I guess people don't use them all the time. Is that the?
You should, right? Yeah.
Oh, you should, yeah.
But that's typically the nature of the bugs. Like,
are you thinking it just sneaks into a string or something? Or,
that's really what happens. If you say like, what broke? What did some commit to ClojureScript do that broke it? It's typically that kind of stuff.
Oh, right.
The path handling, and the code's arguably incorrect. It should be using the proper.
Sure. Yeah, the OS separator things. That's one of the. If you talk back to like Clojure. Again, that's one of the kind of slight annoyances about Clojure, in the sense that I know it's like a hosted language and those kind of things, and so you should just use your operating system things. But in some respects, these kind of affordances would be quite nice to have at a Clojure level, so we don't have to worry about the JVM specifics.
Yeah, that's something people talk about a lot. It kind of happens. There's some progress on there, like the string routines. Were added maybe a couple years ago now, just to polish over the difference between the JavaScript and the Java string methods and things. There's some, but it's true. Like you just don't have everything in ClojureScript because it's just a different VM.
Yeah, I mean, the file I/O is quite different, obviously, as well.
How do you even do file I/O in JavaScript? I don't even know.
Well, if you're using Node.js, it's there's a whole package around that. So it's like POSIX equivalents. But obviously, if you're in the browser, self-hosted, it's very different.
Right.
That's really not permitted. Yeah.
Right.
But for a lot of use cases where you're using Node, it would actually make sense to have some parity.
Right. But then you're doing some kind of async calls, right? So the
Well,
interface
actually,
can't be the
Node
same.
does have some it has a bunch of synchronous calls for all that file I/O stuff.
Oh, does it?
It does,
Okay.
yeah, it does. Yeah, unusually, the file I/O stuff has like sync read, sync write, sync create, sync everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just saying, yeah.
Someone could write a library. There could be a wrapper.
Somebody out there. All right.
I started one, but I'm not going to do it. Yeah.
Too much like
Well, folks, I think it's time to get into this REPL.
It is REPL time.
Do we have
REPL time.
Yeah. So I share my screen and hide my beard. How about that?
Oh, we don't have a. Oh, I need to do the screen share, don't I? How can
I'll
I do
share this screen.
You'll share yours, Mike?
I wonder if I can. Let's see.
Oh, I said Mike. I mean Ray. The beards confused me.
Sorry. Was there too much gray?
No, it's
too bushy for you?
No, I think also when yeah, never mind.
Well, you can dye the gray other colors, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Like purple.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would go with lilac if you really wanted to know.
Okay.
pastel, very in, very fashionable.
Yeah, my wife has her hair pink at the moment. So
I'm down with that. Yeah. All right. So I see a REPL on the screen. All right.
yeah. Are you pinning it? Are you, Eric?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
You just
Did it
click it
work?
once.
There we go. Should be pinned now.
Doesn't look pinned to me, but
I think it's pinned.
okay. I'm not looking at the YouTube channel, so I don't know.
No.
That's where it really counts, right?
I am, but I'm not seeing it yet.
I'm on the YouTube
Oh, there it
and I
is.
see it.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. All good.
Oh,
He
wait.
did it.
It's
He
gone
did
now.
it. Oh.
No, it's gone now.
What? I'm still looking at it.
Oh, mine just went into the logo and then to Mike. I think I must be on a delay.
I think you're on a delay. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna stop looking at
'Cause
it.
I saw that too. Okay.
All right.
So here's our problem. Let me pull it up. Problem. Where did you go? Too many windows. Here we go. So our problem, this one is from Mike. It is about imitating the WC command in Unix, which counts lines, words, and characters. So given a string, just count all the lines, words, and characters. So I guess we could return that as a map of line
Sounds
count,
good.
word count, character count. So who is going to get started on that?
I could talk about the way to do it. Let's see.
All right,
Okay,
so
how would you do
start
it?
with a
The
string,
character
right?
count, it's easy, right? Assuming we're not
Yes.
worried about like weirdness with Unicode. Just
Just the count on the string?
yeah. Because if we had to do like the real count, that might be harder. Who's the little bug typing? Is that
I think that's probably me.
That's
Okay,
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Mia is a birthday cake on the YouTube stream.
Okay.
So are we allowed to use are we
Sure,
allowed to use like string split?
Yeah.
You can do it.
There's
Sure.
no limitations on what you can use.
Because it could be something like so you're returning. Can you guys see this while
Yeah,
I'm
You
typing?
can see it. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So you're returning a map of lines, words. Oops. gotta do a command enter there. And characters.
Yeah.
And then lines is and you're splitting it on a new line, right? Like it's just like
Yeah,
you
I think
can
that's it.
this returns a collection. So you
Okay. Yeah.
could do that and then
Now, does split work on a character, or do you need a regex?
I think maybe split with
I think you can just split lines, actually.
like
It's even
this.
easier.
Yeah.
There's a split lines, I think.
There's a dedicated function call for it.
Oh, that feels.
But
like
I think Mia was
cheating.
going down a good path. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
it is a good question. Like I know I can never remember. Does it take a regex or?
It does. Yeah, it does.
Okay.
So it's like string/split space.
Because you need that one for the next one, don't you? Where it's like space, essentially.
Right.
Regex is space, I
The
guess.
space characters, yeah.
And then
Okay.
I think that it splits, like I think the default is it splits into characters, right?
Oh, maybe.
I might be making that up.
Well,
So the
do you
characters one
even
is the
need to split
easiest.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just do a
Yeah, I
count.
think
I
you
would
can
think.
just do a
Oh,
count
yeah.
straight input, yeah. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna make up a.
Where'd my REPL go? This. Yeah, so like that.
Yeah, and you need to get rid of those parens around stir input.
Oh yeah. Good catch.
Yeah, it's just par in for Dag and Habit. Yeah, looks good.
There we go.
It's not terminating the string on my screen somehow. God damn it.
I tried evaluating that, and I didn't get an answer that I can see.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
screen looks very weird right now. Oh, okay. It looks just like what's up there.
Are you getting an answer out of it, or?
No.
Oh.
String cannot be cast to Java util regex pattern.
Who did that?
Oh, that was
The
me.
string
I was just
split.
making
The
it up.
string has to go first
Yeah.
before the.
Trick.
That's what I get for not looking anything up.
Doesn't it help you?
The REPL itself.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's true.
wow.
Okay. We have an answer.
All right.
All right. Is it correct? One line, yes. 3 words, yes. 14 characters, maybe. Yes, that's right. Okay. Next one. Next test.
I tried one, but I don't get the closing quote. Yes. Let me try again.
So that counts it as 3 words, which is not right. It should be 4. And I see the problem is that
It's 'cause of the new
naively.
line.
The new line is not being counted as a space. So
Mm.
we actually need to make a better regex
Okay. Yeah.
smarter. So the space character is \s.
Is that
Like
it?
any space, tab, new
Yeah,
line.
/T /S /N, isn't it? I think. Is it /T as well?
No, I think \s counts all white space characters.
Oh, does it? Okay. Cool.
And then we would need multiple ones, right? So we would need a plus.
Yes. So does that make sense, Mia? You can put you can change your regex that's in that function.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize that's someone else was going to do that.
Anyone could, I guess, actually. Yeah.
All right. Boom. There we go.
All right. Let's try again.
Oh. Sorry, I just evaled it.
Still getting 3 words.
Maybe \s is not right.
We could.
Is it a capital S?
Or wait, is it supposed to be S plus?
Yeah.
I think S plus will work. It'll make it multiple space
Okay.
characters.
All right. There we go. It's S plus now. Oh, there we go. Except now it considers the new line to be its own word.
Well, I made it like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It works properly now. Though. Yeah, cool. Yeah.
And boom. Okay, that's not giving me anything. Why won't that work? Well, my eval isn't working.
Which one are you trying to evaluate? Rematches.
Yeah.
It's like you're missing the new line at the very end as well.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the closing quote.
I have a quote in my editor.
Yeah. It's like it's something funky about that, and I don't know how to convince it to.
Worked on mine.
Can you?
So you can get it from the history. You can look at the history. You can pick up my history. I think.
Let's see.
The reseek. It's like we never programmed before.
I think your beard is not long enough for this. So.
This always
So it's
becomes
capital
rebel.
S?
Capital S.
Well, what's the capital S do? I don't know that one.
Maybe it's like even more space.
Yeah.
As opposed to little space.
Oh no!
It's the final frontier.
No, it's lowercase s. It should be lowercase.
It should be?
The
Okay.
capital S means not space character.
Oh, okay. Okay.
NP exception says we should do a star at the end of /s and not a plus.
I think it's a
So
plus.
It's plus.
It's greedy
All right.
versus eager, isn't it? This plus versus star.
Well, no, it's
Zero.
0 or more or 1 or more.
Oh, right. And S is
And
one
we need
or more.
one or
isn't it?
more
A plus
space,
is one
or
or
it's
more.
not-
Yeah, we need one or more.
All right, so we need the plus, but then we also are going to have a problem if there's spaces at the end of the line, at the end of the string, because it'll make
That's
an
true.
empty string at the end.
But that's a character, right?
It's a character, but it shouldn't be a word.
Gotcha.
But then you can, do you want to trim the input then? Is that the idea?
Oh, that would solve it, yeah. Although it would break the character count. I guess you could trim just the word counting part.
Just the straight input.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or just the word count. Yeah.
I added some spaces, and they're just not getting added. There we go. No, it didn't. It did not count it as more words. Although it should be 3 lines, right?
Oh, that is
No, that is 2 lines, isn't it? That is
But
2
that's-
lines.
It ends with a
Well,
new line.
It ends with a new line, but that's the split lines behavior, I think.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of
Oh,
nice
that's split line.
because, like, if you're processing a file and it ends in a new line, you don't want like an extra
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Split lines is just being nice.
I don't know. I'm not. My editor doesn't work.
I know, yeah, mine's been keep on changing and nothing happens, so.
Oh, man.
Okay.
I think it must be
let's
because
see.
it's kind of like hosted in London and you're in America. It's a bit slow.
That. Yeah, I changed it and it did not register the change.
Are you saying we're victims of server Brexit?
But we do
Which
have
one-
an
which one did you
implementation, I
change?
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you see it? You can't see that I put a plus, but when I eval it, the plus is not there.
Yeah, it's because I put a plus on mine. Like I can see mine on my screen has a plus and it just is not showing up in the REPL.
With the J though, it shows up. Look at that. Then I remove it and it doesn't do anything. I don't. It's like
Yeah, I've made a plus and it does work. So you
This
could
has
copy
been-
on your machine.
It's been using software with the Apropos cast.
using crappy software. Yeah.
All software is crappy.
Good point. Yeah.
No code, no bugs.
So we have an implementation. I think that's good. Do we want to do something that doesn't have to go through the string multiple times, multiple passes, or some kind of streaming version that can act on like files, large files, without reading the whole thing in at once?
Yeah, that was interesting. Like, what if you couldn't hold the string in RAM?
Maybe don't try that though.
Much harder.
Oh, you're afraid we're going to break your little server?
Exactly. Yeah. It's only- it's
Parliament
like a
rejects
little-
the server's
like a
deal.
little nano server somewhere in the middle of nowhere, you know?
Well, we could do like,
You could pretend. Yeah, you can definitely use file IO here. So yeah, it's okay.
You want to do a recursive version?
that always
like
sounds
fun.
cool. I'm always up for recursion.
So let's say we had a reader.
What did you-
We could well be putting curse into recursion with this software though.
We're going to loop. We're going to have lines, words, and characters. And they start at 0, 0, 0.
Watch Mike for a minute, because watch Eric for a minute, because then we can I can increase the size of the screen for him.
Cool. Right. So now we're going to have like a case statement, right? Like, first of all, the reader might be done, right? So how do you tell if the reader is done? That has next.
It has an EOF, doesn't it?
Yeah, like we'll give you an EOF or something like that.
Someone in the chat look that up. Let's say I have a not has next reader, then I'm just going to return their nice map. If we do have more, we got to read it. Yeah, this should be an if. If we do have, we're going to do get the character next char reader. Is that how you do it? Remember? It's been a while since I've done some Java IO stuff.
I'm trying to look
All
at
right,
that.
so-
See.
Thank you, please. That would be nice.
I've got to go. I'm about to get thrown out of this conference room.
Oh.
Okay, Mia.
Bye, Mia.
I will
Sorry,
follow
sorry,
this
Mia.
progress with Bye
Bye.
all.
Get on,
See
Mia.
you.
Okay, so let's see, reader. iReader. Still trying to find it.
Cool. I'll treat it as pseudocode.
Yeah. So reader.
But see, if we have a new line, we gotta increment the words at some point. Okay, well, I'll deal with that later. If it is a that is space, is that how the method looks?
So reader, like the reader interface.
What is reader here?
Well,
Is it like a?
it's
Is
an,
it meant
Like
to
a
be
file,
like a closure reader? or a
Java.io
tool?
reader.
yeah.
Ah, okay.
And that thing, when you call read on it, will return a character, a single character.
Oh, so it's read. Okay.
Yeah, there's a read, but it actually returns an int. And
What we don't want.
yeah, well, so the int
You want a
is
string reader, don't you? Because there are string readers, you know.
well, that's The implementation of reader can vary. I think Eric just wants to write it in terms of the actual interface itself.
Oh, right. Okay. Fair enough.
So that's what read returns is an int, which is a single character.
And it could be like what, -1 on an
yeah,
end of
exactly.
file or
Sorry.
something?
Yeah, -1
Yeah,
means
yeah.
end of stream. Yeah. Otherwise,
Okay,
it's
so I
in
gotta
the
read it up
range.
here.
Yeah. So yeah, let C be.
But the character is just the number of characters, isn't it? Oh no. Okay, I see. Oh, yeah, it's a single
Yeah.
character.
Okay. Yeah. So if you call read on reader,
Yeah.
So
then you could check to
it's
see if C is -1. Then you would know you're done.
done. I am done. Okay. This is not a
Otherwise,
real
let's
end.
see.
Otherwise, we call char on it, right? And it
Yeah.
turns it into a character.
That will work.
And then
yeah.
we compare it to new line. That will increment the lines.
Yeah.
And increment the chars. Might increment the words. I'm not sure yet. Is
Okay,
there an
yeah.
is space on the character class?
Let's see.
Is white space something like that? Is white space? And then if it's not white space, then we're just going to ink the character. So I'm obviously going to have to increment the words at some point.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the character class. Let's see.
Ink the words every
Is
time.
white space with a capital W but not a capital S?
Is white space.
And it's actually, is it a static method? Let's see.
So if I have a white space, see, this is wrong. Like I need to know if I'm in a word. So I need another piece of state here. Word. So I'm not going to ink if I'm in.
It is a static, Mike. You're right there. So it can just
Yeah,
Hmm.
be
so the syntax will be a little different. Yeah.
C slash.
Oh, it's character slash. Okay.
Yeah.
Or can't you call a static method like that on an instance?
Let me try.
Please do. So if I get a new line, I'm going to increment the lines. I'm going to, if I'm in a word, no, if I'm already in a word, right, I'm now not in a word. So at the end of a word, that's when I count it.
Okay.
So I just ended a word, or I didn't in this case, in the words case. Then I'm also incrementing the characters, and now I'm not in a word anymore. So if I have white space, then I do the same logic as
you
up
can't
here.
You can't do the dot thing, Eric.
I can't. Okay. Thank you. I'll go back and change that. Here it is, character. Slash. Work with my indentation. I really like pair edit for being able to just hit space to correct parens.
Yeah.
It's like one character. You need back or two keys, backspace and space, and you can do parens perfectly. It's really nice. And now we're going to say we're false. We're not in a word anymore. This is going to ink characters, and it's going to set word to true. Okay. Now we need to be able to construct a reader. Let me see. Does that compile? Read for class java.string, right? Because I'm calling it here. So I'm going to do java.io.
Oh, you need to make a string reader, maybe?
String reader. It'll lag here. There we go. That work?
think
Java
there's space.
class gonna be.
There's no space between the string reader
No
and the
space.
thing.
Oh, on mine there definitely is.
Oh, okay. Right.
Okay, let's try that again. Well, I don't see anything happening now. Oh, it is scrolling down. There we go.
There we go. Yeah.
Whoa, it did something. Lines is 0. I guess we got to start lines at 1, huh? Two words. Oh, no. If we get an end, we got to do the logic too, huh? All right. So same logic as here. Now, what I would do in my olden days is add a space at the end. I would add a new line to the beginning and add a space at the end just to make it work. That's what you call. Never mind. Yes. Try that. 3 words, 16 characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay.
Yeah.
Call it with some new lines and stuff in there. Try to mess it up.
Yeah.
And this would be pretty fast, I think. It's a tight loop.
Yeah.
3 lines. That was right. 4 words. Yeah.
Yeah.
17 characters.
If you, yeah, that's correct. It's still the same number of characters. It's a new line rather than a space, but yeah. And it should be the same.
That was easier than I thought.
At the end. Yeah.
Yeah, it counts the end.
Yeah. Which is probably a bug. Oh, well. You were arguing earlier.
Well, it depends on how you
bug.
count, but yeah, could be.
No, it's probably correct. It's probably correct. The other one was skipping it, wasn't it? In pure terms, this is more correct.
Yeah. I wonder what it would take to make that work. Because what if you put 2 new lines, Should that be 2 extra lines at the end? And what does line seek do? Or what is it? What were the split lines?
Well, you get an extra line here when you put an extra line in, so that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, this is behaving properly, I think.
That was easier than I thought. I wonder if this is how the GNU WC is written. Like, it's basically 4 variables in a loop.
My guess
Are we getting any comments in the chat? No comments in the chat. No one's watching anymore.
No one cares. Yeah.
But that you did mention line seek, and I don't think we should implement it in terms of that. But that's an interesting thing. It takes a reader and gives you a sequence of lines, right. And then you could reduce over that thing, right? You could reduce over the lines.
That's true.
And then for each one, you just treat a line as like the old problem, kind of just count up the characters is easy. Count up the words is pretty much the same as before.
That's right. That's right. And weren't we going to try to do it as a, it's probably too late now.
Yeah, it's probably too late, but we could talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. Implementation. If you had like this really big file that you wanted to do recursively and in parallel.
Yeah, yeah. Like if you had a line, could you use reducers to kind of parallelize it?
Didn't they do one of these? I mean, I'm forgetting the details, but there was some kind of like internet guy who wanted to process logs, and there became a little kind of competition about which language could process the logs fastest. And people wrote, to get word counts and line counts and stuff like that, because he was trying to check visitors and things like that, just at a very gross level of his web logs. And I think the ones with Clojure ended up like writing it virtually in Java, but with some very thin,
almost like the loop recur.
interfaces. Yeah.
Well,
But
wait,
that
are
was
you saying the
pre. That
Clojure
was
one was the
pre.
fastest?
Yeah, that's how they got the fastest results. Yeah, but that was pre. What you might call it? Pre.
Reducers?
Pre-reducers. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder. You could probably tune it to work really well with reducers, because reducers works well when you have a big problem and it's worth splitting, right?
Yeah.
But then you have this problem of recombining the answers, and I could just imagine that. See, well, like we're not doing much work here each time. We're just incrementing
Yeah.
and reading one character and incrementing a few things.
Mhm.
Whereas if you had to do reducers, you would have to combine maps, right? And so now you're making a whole bunch of garbage
Oh,
each
okay.
time you're recombining the answers. So it's unless you really split it efficiently, like I have 4 cores, I'm going to split it exactly into 4, so I only have to recombine 4 times. I just couldn't imagine this kind of problem doing better in parallel.
You're worried about like if you did the merge with plus on the maps, you'd just be
Yeah,
pounding the garbage collection.
like on every line you're doing a merge with plus,
Yeah.
compared to just this streaming loop, this really tight loop. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And it scales logarithmically though, so you do probably have a chance of finding some file that's big enough to make it worthwhile.
Or if it had like really long lines all the time, so each line was meaty enough to work on. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this single-threaded one was faster.
And then it's also probably just faster to shell out to WC and parse it.
I know, even the overhead of
Yeah. Well, I think that's the problem, isn't it? Is that finding data that's big enough to actually justify all this stuff is actually the hard part,
Right.
That's
like,
true.
all those like the early MapReduce papers were all about counting words.
Yeah.
And it's like, how many words do you need to justify sending messages over the network to hundreds of nodes? Like, I mean, of course, no one was really doing that, but it was just an
but they're counting the whole world's internet documents, aren't they? That's what they're really doing.
And you can probably also offload, like you could just send the URL and the computer could download the so that would probably make it better.
But that's like, it would be interesting to think about, like maybe I don't know if you could do a spider that quickly here, but that could be something we could look at next time. Making a little spider.
I made a scraper / spider that ran on Heroku. Heroku lets you have multiple workers, so I had multiple JVMs running. I think I had 40 at some point, and I don't want to like get myself in trouble, but I was taking down sites. I was getting 500 errors if I turned it up. I was like, okay, go faster, and it's like, 500 errors. Okay, turn it back down. And, you could easily DDoS something with running on multiple machines. 40 machines at the same time.
That's the problem, isn't it? You have to be polite. You have to be nice. Yeah.
You have to be
and you
nice.
Have to read,
and so I had to build that in. I had to build that in feedback. Like if you're starting to get 500 errors, slow down.
And also read robots.txt as well.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, we were probably violating all those things.
Yeah.
Just to be honest.
Yeah. All right.
Well, this was a good show.
That's a good problem.
This is quite nice, yeah. Modular the lag on the REPL there. I'm actually thinking about, it doesn't matter. I'll talk about that next time. Some improvements to this thing.
Okay.
Put it in make a gist and put it in the show notes for next time. We'll be good.
Yeah.
All right, folks. this is where I ask you to subscribe so that you can be notified when we go live.
Yeah,
You
just
can also
probably we
follow
should just say, Eric, actually, just quickly that we're kind of off for a little while out of the loop, but we do intend to get back every few weeks.
Yes.
You know, so it's worth pointing.
No,
I mean, it's a bit of a
yeah,
kind
just
of, if
like
you stayed
people
this
with
long,
gigs and
yeah.
Yeah. And of course, if you miss it, you can get it on YouTube later. But if you
Yeah.
miss it, you can be in the chat.
My beard won't be quite so, it won't have tripled in size next time we.
They can only
That would be
triple
cool.
so many times. 3 more doublings. All right, everybody. See you next time.
Later.
Bye.